Today, my speech is going to talk about the revolution of telecommunication through small satellites. And it's really an important topic because one of the major industry in the future will be relying on the small satellites. And most of you guys, I believe, you're familiar with the small satellite. So most probably will be, the introduction will be a quick introductions, and then we will move to the main topics of our core presentation. And so I have three main elements today. What would look like in the next era of the telecommunication. And the second topic would be the 5G and the Internet of Things, relationship between the 5G and Internet of Things with the small satellites. The third would be the communication in space to Earth and vice versa. So, so we need to understand that small satellite means it's really small satellites, which means 50 kilograms and less, which means in terms of volume, it could be the volume of this disk, most probably, or much smaller. So that means the fabrication, manufacturing cost of these satellites will be much lower than bigger satellites, what we call it geostationary satellites. And as you know, guys, geostationary satellites, they do most of the broadcasting and for telecommunication, radio, television coverage, and so on. In addition, the launch cost of these small satellites would be much cheaper, because if you don't have idea about how we can launch the satellites, it's per kilogram and the altitude. It's like how much altitude you want to hit your satellite for deployment, and how big is your satellite, the weight, the volume. So the lighter would be the cheaper, okay? But most of these small satellites surrounding the low Earth orbit, they usually cover the low Earth orbit. Just give you an introduction about the low Earth orbit. We have low Earth orbit, we have the medium low Earth orbit, and we have the geostationary orbit. Now, for geostationary orbits, which means the big satellites, for broadcasting satellite, for example, telecommunication, TVs, channels, they are spotted in a certain region over Earth. So if you are, for example, dealing with the hot bird, this is a geostationary satellite, okay? So the hot bird actually is covering certain region in Europe. So wherever the Earth is moving, the satellite is moving around the Earth because it's covering the same region, okay? While the small satellite